Hi everyone, I'm Claire Ernest, and today I'll be talking about my creative practice. First, a little bit about me. I was born in Idaho. I was one of seven, six brothers. There's me. That's of course what I look like now. I went to UNT. I'm at UNT. I'm a junior practicing studio art, drawing and painting specifically, and I am in Seattle now. Now let's move on to the three most important parts of my creative practice. The first important part of my practice is photos. I take a lot of photos. I think of it like collecting. I collect things that are interesting to me, whether aesthetically or conceptually. I've even had periods where I was stuck on one motif. For a while, I was taking photos of mostly telephone poles in the sky. I think something about the silhouette was just very striking to me. These photos are important to my practice because I use them as reference. Most of these photos are a time when I connected with something and I saw potential for art in it. I didn't always know what I was going to use it for, but I do use it eventually. Whenever I'm making art, I will go back through my photos and look for inspiration, and many of my pieces have come from times like this, where I found something I connected with in my life, and I wanted to refer to it later. The second part of my creative practice is sketching. It's important for me to keep drawing, to practice my skills, both fundamentals, and to just keep developing ideas in shorthand. I study fundamentals because I believe that you can always improve, and I want to have those skills in my back pocket so that I can bring them into my art when I need them. I also give myself time to do low pressure doodling so I don't feel like there's too much pressure on me to draw at all. I don't get burnt out that way. The last important part of my practice is keeping an open mind and trying new things. I think doing other types of art helps me become a better artist, and it also kind of goes in the back of my collection to pull out later when I've got an idea. I think doing 3D art, for example, here, or trying animation has been really helpful in thinking in different ways, and going to museums and seeing other people's art and learning art history has also taught me more about the world and other ways that people do art that I think is very useful for me. Now for some actual examples of things that I've done. I'm going to use two paintings to kind of illustrate what my process looks like. First, I have this swing painting. It's an example of a more direct photorealistic painting I did. It's oil paint, 18 by 24 inch canvas. I was using this for an assignment where it was complementary colors, so I was picking a painting that would look good with that. But then as I was going back through my photos that I keep, it also was bringing up emotions of like right before I left for college and kind of the ending of childhood and my hometown and what that meant to me and how the light was influencing that. So it was kind of a study of color and value and light. So that's an example, I guess, of bringing a photo from the past. The other thing was I was using digital technology to kind of help me with this painting, in that I used my phone to turn the picture black and white and what I was painting so I could study the values and then change them to kind of emphasize what I wanted to show here. Um, and then here I have a progression of this painting just through its stages. I also take photos while I paint of this. My next example is this painting called Self-Sabotage that I did, also in oils. This was also for a class, and for the assignment it was supposed to be based on film noir, so I started by watching a film noir and taking photos from it, so I had photos to go off of like I usually do. Then I spent a lot of time sketching, planning, thumbnails, brainstorming, until I came around to the actual painting and how I connected to the story. Finally, I took some reference photos and I used a digital software program called Krita to collage those to help me visualize what I wanted the final painting to look like. Here's another look at my process of painting and how that went. This project had a longer ugly phase, but I'm glad I got through it. Overall, I'm pretty satisfied with my creative practice, but of course there's still room for growth. I think the big things I'm working on right now are being more intentional with my practice and more consistent with it. I really think consistency is key. Thanks for listening.